Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, guys. Welcome to Chris is Talking, and this is my monthly manga review for Attack on Titan, also known as the Shingeki No Kyojin, chapter 87. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome, and do subscribe as I do weekly anime manga reviews as well as monthly reviews for other series like Attack on Titan and a few other things here and there. Now, it has been a while since I've done a Shingeki No Kyojin manga review because I've been busy with life and stuff like that, but now that my life's on track, I can actually do regular Attack on Titan reviews. So I'm super excited for this. First of all, so I'm just going to continue from where we are in this chapter. So I'm guessing if you guys have been reading it, so you should be up to date and know where we're at. And also, my apology, I'm wearing a scarf because my neck is hella cold. And yeah, some reason it's super cold in London. Alright, so we're going to start off. I'm going to have some references just right in front of me to help make this go a bit smoother because the chapters are monthly. So there are some names and details that I can't have on a regular basis. So it literally just starts off with Grisha and Dina basically telling Zeke straight up, you're going to be the hope, you're going to be the savior, you're going to be the person who's going to take our people to victory, this and that and this and that. And you can see, we've seen from a while that Zeke hasn't wanted this. Zeke has nothing to do with this. Zeke has his own goals and it's too much pressure on him. And literally at the end of last month's chapter, we saw that the last few panels that saw that Zeke had actually sold out Grisha and Dina to the army. So it's kind of like, yeah, so he had enough. And this chapter starts off with basically kind of like some internal monologue of the flashback. So it's kind of like a flashback monologue internal, so it's crazy. So it starts off with basically Grisha speaking to Zeke and Dina telling them how important they are. Zeke, we have no choice but to win and everything. And you can see in Zeke's eyes, this is on the first page, that he didn't give no fucks. He had nothing to do with this. He didn't want anything to do with this. Grisha even says himself, I should have known with what a deep sin it is to force your own views upon your children. So yeah, you can tell that there was some hints there to Grisha that he shouldn't have done that he should have literally just let Zeke decide what he wants to do, because isn't this exactly what the military were doing to them by force-feeding Grisha and his whole family a certain sense of information and stuff from when they were young, and presuming that they should take this, and basically it's almost like whatever the military was doing to Grisha and his family when they were younger, it's almost like he's doing it to Zeke. And being young, you won't know the difference. You won't know what's right and wrong. So to put all that pressure on a little one is quite a bit. So yeah, so we got to see that it says here, and he received the security for himself and his grandparents in exchange. So yeah, Zeke sold out his parents so him and his grandparents could be safe, and thus putting Grisha in a torture chair. And boy, this is not nice. You can literally see Grisha's fingers are being cut off. The military are asking him to speak out. Who is the owl? Loads of screaming. I don't really know how they expect people to be able to answer questions whilst they're undergoing that much torture, but yeah, some fucked up shit. And we get to see that Grisha's not breaking either because he doesn't know who the Yao is, or because he literally doesn't want to break and he's fighting for his country that bad. But you can see he's mentally broken and he doesn't really know what to do and how is he even going to survive. That being said, he ends up being blindfolded and being put onto a steamboat, which is, I think that's the word that he said here, yeah. So while trapped in the steamboat, I searched my memories for clues desperately. So whilst being blindfolded, Grisha tried his hardest to try and figure out exactly where he was going. Tried going on some fucking some taken shit where it's like you're blindfolded, but I'm going left, I'm going right. So yeah, but he got taken from that place of torture with almost no fingers, just a thumb left, being beaten up and being unblindfolded to being on top of a wall. Now, I don't think it's the walls themselves, but I think it's the wall that breaks apart the general population, like the humans, just the normal world, from the Paradise Island where Attack on Titan is currently happening. So yeah, so he's unblindfolded and he's there on top of a wall on his knees, just looking straight out. And if you look to all across on the right hand side of him, there's a whole bunch of people as well who are in the same position as him, and they all look like they are screwed. They get informed about the situation that they're in and how fucked they are. And Grisha basically ends up realizing, you know what, there's nothing that I can do about this. It looks like I'm just gonna stay here, really. But I see how there's loads of the soldiers and officers who are there at the beginning basically kind of inform him a lot about what's going to happen and about how he's going to be once he transforms, and how all he's going to end up doing is chasing after the humans. And once he basically once he ends up taking in the spinal fluid, he'll end up getting the Titan power, this and that, and just a whole bunch of political stuff. And so many people here are literally asking Zeke, asking Grisha about Zeke, and like, what happened with Zeke? Why would he end up reporting us? This, that. Your son's a snitch. And it's pretty fucked because like you're screwed when your own people end up screaming at you and end up to say, just give up the information, crying out loud. Like, we need help. Like, you can see that they are not going to survive this. Whatever's happening, they're not going to survive this. But what's kind of messed up as well is one of the guys who's speaking to him just gets kicked off. He doesn't even get transformed. He just gets kicked off. And I thought he was dead because that was a hell of a height. But you find out that the landing where they're at, the sand there is meant to be really soft. So even if you were to fall, even if you're bound like that, you wouldn't break any arms or legs or stuff. So it's some pretty fun shit right there. But yeah, that guy ends up being told, look, you'll be fine. Just run to safety. You'll be okay. And at that moment there, this commanding officer prick with some moustache and hat, he ends up telling the other soldiers, look, inject the peasants basically, and once they transform into titans, they're going to chase after him and then rip him to shreds, which is pretty cruel. And what's pretty fucked up is the fact that Grisha even notices that this guy is the same guy who caught his sister when the sister was 8 years old and fed her to the dogs. And at first the guy was like, what are you talking about? Like, he's not really admitting anything. But then once the guard told the rest of the soldiers to kind of go away, he ended up basically just admitting to him, look, your sister was nothing. She was part of the plan. Her dying made my sons or my children end up having a better life and this and that. And it's just pretty dark and twisted. This whole chapter was pretty messed up because you're seeing everybody just being injected and thrown off the sides. And these same people that were with Grisha and just transformed into the Titans are the same Titans that we've been seeing throughout the series from the beginning of the series. And oh my god, and unfortunately it turns out to be, it's finally confirmed that the female Titan that had the big smile on her face, the one who was on episode 1 or 2, I think it's episode 1, sorry, was the one who ate and chomped on Eren's mum, is basically Grisha's original wife, is Dina. So Dina got transformed into a Titan on that wall, and she became that smiling, crazy female Titan, the same one who basically has been kind of reoccurring throughout the series. So I think that's pretty nuts, and I like how they've shown us this. And I think if you look carefully, if you just go back on when they first transform, I think you'll notice that some of the Titans, like the bearded Titan, the same one that almost ate Eren, but that almost ate Armin, but then ended up eating Eren. Like, he's there as well. He's the tall one with the grey beard, like, but obviously it's in black and white, but you can definitely see it resembles a lot that Titan. So I think that's pretty nuts. And yes, and like, obviously we have been introduced to a shit ton of Titans, so I don't remember every single one of them, but I do recognize these Titans, and it's pretty messed up. I think it's really cruel the way that Dina's last words was "my dearest," and she's just like kind of looking at him. No. She gets unblindfolded, which is a piss take. She had blindfolds, and she got unblindfolded so that she could end up speaking to Grisha. And Grisha, all he can do is just look at her and just be stomped on the floor, head pushed on the floor, and he just sees that she just gets injected. And it's pretty cruel because their love was strong. They'd been together for such a long time, and just to see her, what she said, she goes, "Doesn't matter what I become, because I will still find you. How perfect. Go find some romance as Titans." Oh man, this is crazy. Like, the dialogue going on between the commanders and the soldiers and everything, and the humans and everything, it's just messed up. Like, you can see that Dina was such a kind person, and like, she was just trying to survive. And like, throughout the beginning of this flashback, they've just been going through shit, loads of shit. And to think Zeke would sell out his parents just like that. So it's interesting to see when Zeke returns, whether Zeke and Eren will end up having their all-out fight at the very end. Basically, the two brothers, because Zeke was the person who put his parents into it, which is the reason why eventually Eren's mum ends up being chewed on and eaten by Eren's original stepmom. This is crazy. It's crazy. It's a whole mindfuck. This is pretty nuts. I think once Eren finds all this shit out, he's gonna go fucking ballistic. But yeah, so she gets kicked down, and he's all ends up screaming. And yet, huge transformation, and you just see her. So I might make that as my thumbnail, the transformation of Dina, because it's just that the detail there was really, really cool. But yeah, so near the end of the chapter, Eren wakes up, and then he's still in captivity because of his decision, him and Mikasa, and how they decided to go against their what was it? 1 second, sorry, my apologies. The Eren, calm down. This is the disciplinary chamber. You and Mikasa are serving time here due to violating military policies. So yeah, so the whole situation of when Eren and Mikasa were fighting so that the injection could go into Armin instead of Erwin. That's the consequences that they're in right now. So I'm kind of glad that they don't gloss over that, and every action that they have in this series has a reaction. So that's pretty cool as well. And Eren basically starts to realize by the end of this chapter here that his connections and these flashbacks that he keeps on having, and since the beginning of the series that we were seeing, they're all connected to Grisha's flashback as well. So his mind and his father's mind are the same right now. So their flashbacks are connected. And I think that's pretty cool, because knowing this far in the chapter, in the manga chapter, makes me remember when I was watching the first few episodes, and like all these flashbacks were happening in Eren's head, and he was crying, and they were saying, "Why are you crying, Eren? What's going on?" Almost to the same point as what's going on here, when it's like, "Oh, you're crying again. Why are you crying?" So he doesn't know why he's crying, but obviously emotions are so powerful that it would make him tear up, even if it seems to him like a dream, but it was actually a flashback. So that's pretty nuts. That's hella nuts. But yeah, so I like that split panel right there, and like some diagonal where you see Eren and Grisha like both crying at the same time saying Dina, and you can see their facial reactions kind of resemble, not totally the same, because Eren's is a lot more kind of whereas in Grisha's is like that long cheek. What is this? Chin, you know, the bum chin kind of face. So yeah, so that's pretty much that. Last few pages. No, what else happens? Yeah, so this is kind of nuts, because you basically find out that after all of that, right when Grisha's about to be kicked off of the roof, because it goes back to the flashback, that the soldier, like I mentioned earlier, the soldier who was in control of all of this, he was actually the person who ended up feeding Grisha's sister to the dogs. And after this whole conversation, you think that Grisha's about to be taken out. This soldier ends up being kicked off of the top by somebody who actually ends up revealing themselves to be the Owl, which is actually pretty nuts themselves. And I think it's kind of nuts how they have the name title The Owl. What does Owl stand for? Because they have this in Tokyo Ghoul as well, and the whole owl thing. So yeah, I might try to find a connection and a relation to this and see why they both have the title of Owl. But yeah, so the Owl ends up revealing himself right before Grisha's about to be murdered, and yeah, it just pushes off that commander just straight off the top. And like, obviously from what we remembered earlier, you won't die if you fall from the top, but what you will die from is if you're being chewed on by the Titans, these same Titans that you injected and threw down there. And it's crazy how there's a panel where it's been split in three. It's in the middle panel, and you get to see the Titan just go for the commander's head, go for his cheek, and just rip it off. And it's like proper detailed. It's pretty nuts. It's pretty gruesome, and yeah, but super cool panel where that guy just flips the hat. I am the Owl. And it's like, this is how you use a Titan's power, and does the whole hand cutting, jumps off to the side, but doesn't even go onto the side of where Paradise Island is, but it goes on the other side from where all the soldiers were incoming. And the last final panel is a Titan that looks exactly like Eren's Titan, just destroying the steamboat that they came on. So I think that's pretty cool. I think that is definitely a foreshadowing that this is Eren's Titan form that he's collected. So the Titan form that he's been given by his father Grisha, this is the DNA, and this is probably how the serum ends up being exchanged from hands to hands, and how it goes from Grisha to Eren, and why Eren looks the way he is. But once again, this Titan does look so fucking epic, and you can see that he has control of what he's doing because of the way he's holding the ship and just straight up just doing that move, that technique, that wrestling move, which I really doubt normal Titans do, because normally the Titans are just like fucking chewing them like they're mice or something. But yeah, super cool chapter. Last panel says anger, sadness and hatred gush out all at once, and which is basically the same kind of emotions that Eren has when he's the Titan. So maybe the connection of personalities as well is exactly a reason why Eren has that as well. yeah, so who knows? Pretty intense chapter. Not as crazy hype as last week's chapter, but a lot of reveals in this chapter from Eren's Titan form, where that came from where the Titan who ate Eren's mum came from, and it turns out to be confirmed that is Dina, Eren's dad's first wife, which is pretty crazy messed up when you think about it. We also find out where these Titans that have been throughout the series came from and why they're connected, which I think is also pretty cool as well. We've also found out exactly what happens to Grisha's sister, which is pretty nuts as well, and more about the Titans and Paradise Island. So yeah, this is pretty nuts, and I'm pretty interested to see where next week's chapter next month's chapter goes, and when we'll get more information about this Titan and how it's connected to Eren, and maybe more about how the current cast are going to leave Paradise Island and go to the new world, or the main world. Sorry, all these mangas and chapter and animes will probably just flowing into each other. But yeah, that's this review. What did you guys think of it? Sorry, it's kind of long. It's a talk through / review / reaction. So yeah, let me know your thoughts of this, and any information I missed out, do let me know in the comment box down below. Do subscribe and like. For you new subscribers, do like, and you new watchers, do subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you guys around as I always do. Have a great day, guys. Remember, Chris is talking. Peace.